right, we're back here in the studio with Preme. Now, we left off talking about the business side of you. You have a clothing line, you have your own CDs, you do the mic fights, you're doing tours, and yet you really don't consider yourself an entrepreneur, or are you starting to think of yourself that way now?
I'm trying to think of myself that way. I'm basically an entrepreneur, but not at the level that I'd like to be right now, because like the way that I grew up especially, I didn't have a lot of, funds. We didn't have a lot of money, so we had to make do with what we had. And a lot of times we had ideas. We'd put together ideas as a kid on what kind of little businesses we could make, and just all kinds of little ideas. And so I had that entrepreneurial guidance in me from when I was a kid through my mom and through my dad as well. But also, it's just hard because I don't have a lot of a budget right now. So I'm trying to work with the right people to actually acquire, enough funding for me to get my clothing line where it needs to be and whatnot, and to get, everything, a little bit more ramped up, because I wanted to be on a Canadian level, not a Thunder Bay. I love Thunder Bay. Thunder Bay is my home, but I want to try to make, moves and set myself up into the Canadian direction, like somewhat like Coleman Hell did recently. Yeah. So he's a really inspiring artist as well. So,
well, you put on a tour last year. First of all, where did you go with your tour? And second, how did you raise the money? You're saying you don't have the funds, so how did you do it and where did you go? Yeah,
well, we went to BC last year. We went from Thunder Bay all the way to BC, 12 stops, and what we did was every show, we got a little bit of a, like an advance from the promoters, just enough to pay for our hotel, our gas, and a lot of times, I'll be honest, we actually struggled on the way back. I actually had to ask a few friends, close friends of mine, to help me going town to town just to get gas money for us to, get back to Thunder Bay at the end of the tour. Because it was.
But that doesn't stop you.
It was hard. We had to sit in, McDonald's in a Wi-Fi area a couple times, just trying to, get the funds to get home. But I mean, it keeps you humble. A few times I had to sleep in the van on the tour so I can let the crew sleep in the, in the hotels that we had, and. It all just kept me humble and made me realize that this is actually something that I love to do, and I'm not just doing it for the perks that it has, I'm actually doing it for the love of the music, right? So that's one of the main, things that I learned from the tour. I was happy that I actually had people along the tour that knew my songs, a few small group of people, they knew my songs, and I was happy to have at least fans in every city, that I didn't know that I even had. So, I mean, I was happy for that as well, so,
So you write from the heart. The song My Hometown, which you'll be performing a little later on, where did that come from? Were you having a solemn mood one day, or what were you feeling? What do you feel when you put lyrics on paper?
Well, what I was feeling when I wrote Hometown, I was working with a producer who did the beat for another local artist who'd done a song that was really well known called Hometown. He made the same beats, just a little bit in a different way. And I'm talking a little bit about my personal experiences in my hometown. And I kind of just talk about my some of my personal side of me, just to let the fans really know who I am. Let everyone know that I have kids and my dad's from here. And even though I was born in Winnipeg, I see Thunder Bay as my hometown, So that's one thing that I wanted to let everybody know. And it turned out to be a really amazing song. And I was lucky enough to have Tony McGuire shoot performance shots of me over a couple-year period. And then he surprised me and sent that footage to me in a video for Hometown, because he knew how much the song meant to me. So he got some visuals for it as well. So.
In case people might not have known your name in the past, what are some events that you've done in the city where people might have seen you and just not realized?
A few events that I've done that I'm happy to have done. Well, one of them was the strongman competition, which I worked with you at that one. And
great reviews.
I mean, one of the interesting stories was I was on tour and I was in Winnipeg at a random truck stop, and I had a gentleman come up to me, and he didn't look like he was into hip hop. He looked like just an older guy maybe, and he didn't really seem like he came up to me like he knew me, and he told me that he didn't really like my genre of music, but he seen my performance and he really respected it. I was a young guy trying to make it.
That's awesome.
So I mean, I was pretty surprised to have him see me out of town and recognize me, and And another one was the CWE event recently that I did.
And that was wrestling at
the wrestling at
Big
the
Thunder Community
West Thunder.
Center.
Yeah.
There we
So
go.
at West Thunder, I did that event. It was one of the better events I've done in terms of crowd, the size of the crowd. That one, I was walking around locally, and I had an officer of the Thunder Bay Police Department come up to me and tell me that he seen the show with his kids, and he meant to come up and tell me that he thought that I did good, but he never had a chance because of all the wrestlers being there and his kids wanting to talk to them. But I was just happy to hear him come up to me and actually, express that he was, that he seen a little bit of potential in what I was doing, right? So that meant a lot to me, and that kind of stuff just keeps me going, right? So.
Well, okay, so you have a mic fight coming up.
Yeah.
So you're preparing for another tour this summer, right?
Yeah,
This is what you're doing. So
well, yeah.
Okay, so what's coming up this summer? What can we expect to see from Preme this year?
Well, this summer I'm going to be trying to get with a tour. I'm recently acquired a manager. A guy I know named Nathan Grover. He's going to be helping me get tours set up, as well as helping me get my name into the Canadian scene. He's in a group called Stress Street. It's led by Joey Styles, and he's a bigger Aboriginal artist. And we have a few bigger named Aboriginal artists that work in this group as a collective, and we all just help each other network and whatnot through Canada and the States. So they have a big tour coming up this summer that I'm going to hopefully get on so that I can expand my fan base. And then after the summer, I'm hoping around Christmas to do an Ontario tour towards Toronto, just so I can get the Ontario fans to on the eastern side to see a little bit more of my music. So.
Thank you so much for coming by. We actually have a live in-studio performance with Preme coming up right after these messages.